Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
A rideshare driver killed.
To find out that he was murdered just makes it even worse.
Coming up, the two surprising arrests.
A mother calls 911 to report she's being held hostage on a local freeway. Also in the car, her two children. How state police got to them without anyone being hurt.
After a year like no other, tonight Governor Whitmer delivering an upbeat message to Michigan.
My mission is to find common ground so we can emerge from this crisis stronger than ever.
Finding common ground and calls for bipartisanship, a theme of the governor's third State of the State address.
Delivered from her office in Lansing without the usual pomp and circumstance, of course, running just 24 minutes. Mara McDonald live in Lansing tonight. Mara, the lion's share of this address was, as we expected, the way forward out of COVID.
Devin, exactly. And one of the first things the governor addressed was how slow the rollout of the vaccine has been. She urged his patience. She says the goal right now is to get 70% of the state vaccinated ASAP.
I know you're used to me saying fix the damn roads. This year, let's also fix the damn road ahead. Let's find common ground to grow our economy.
The governor repeatedly calling for bipartisanship, something that has not been on particular display over the last year. Instead, a constant push and pull over COVID-19 decision-making between Whitmer and the GOP-led legislature. The relationship is chilly at best. You'd never know it from tonight's address, which focused on the positive.
You might think Republicans and Democrats in Lansing can't find much common ground on anything. But the reality is, despite all these crises and the gridlock in Washington, we took real bipartisan action to get things done for you and your family.
Moving forward, it's about where the money goes for schools, businesses hit hard by the pandemic, and workers who have suffered. What will come over the next weeks and months will resemble how sausage is made. Ugly to look at, but hopefully palatable to all by the end.
Mar, I don't think we have a choice but to get it together and make sure that the sausage is made at the end of the day. We have an entire state who's dependent and reliant on us to be able to get along.
There is always a way if there is a will. And I was glad to hear the governor say that she's ready to join forces, because that is a very, very different approach than over the past year.
Back here live before the governor's address tonight, earlier today in Lansing, the House GOP released its COVID attack plan. And in that attack plan, it talks about allowing local health departments to have the ability to decide whether in-person learning should happen and high school sports, essentially taking away that authority from the governor, giving it to local health departments and attaching federal dollars on it to make it happen. Now, the governor did not address that in her, speech this evening. I would say I would find it shocking if that was to actually happen, but we clearly have some sort of starting point here for negotiations to begin. And Devin, Kimberly, we expect to hear both from the Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey and the new House Speaker Jason Wentworth tomorrow as far as their comments on the governor's address. We're live in Lansing tonight at the Capitol. I'm Mara McDonald. Local 4.
Exactly right, Mara. In fact, we had a number of people questioning about why there wasn't a Republican response tonight. They have saved that for tomorrow at 11 a.m. All right, Mara. Now, later in this newscast this evening, we are talking with Elizabeth Hertel, the new director of the State Health Department, about the biggest challenge to get vaccines to everyone in the state. That's coming up this evening. Now, with cases of the new COVID variant spreading on campus, a new stay-in-place recommendation has been issued for University of Michigan students.
The recommendation applies to all students living on or near the Ann Arbor campus and is in effect through February 7th. The Washtenaw County Health Department is asking students to avoid leaving their residences except to go to class, go to work, get food, or other necessary activities. Other headlines: the state reporting 1,681 new cases and 6 new deaths from the virus. Nationwide, the CDC is now projecting the U.S. coronavirus death toll could climb past 500,000 by February 20th.
Tomorrow, the House Oversight Committee is going to listen to Michigan families upset over the state's ban on winter sports. That hearing will also include testimony from the Michigan High School Athletic Association director. Right now, winter sports are on pause until at least February 21st. So that hearing scheduled for 10:30 tomorrow morning in Lansing.
The murder of a rideshare driver 6 days ago has resulted in the arrest of 2 teenagers. There's no word on charges tonight, but police say that driver, 60-year-old Tim Perkins of Southfield, was beaten and stabbed to death. Jason Colthorpe is live in Southfield tonight with the latest on this investigation. Jason, good evening.
Good evening, Kim. And this investigation is going to start with trying to establish a motive and then how and where these 2 teenagers will be charged. As for the victim, his wife and network of friends shocked and stunned tonight by his loss.
The world lost a really beautiful guy.
60-year-old Tim Perkins was the kind of guy you just wanted to be around. His friend of 20 years, Mark Tillman, often biked with Tim as members of Metro 313 Cyclones. The entire group was stunned as word spread of Tim's death January 21st.
When he shared with me that he had passed, that Tim had passed, it knocked the wind out of my sails. I absolutely could not focus for the remainder of my day on Sunday, and it's still even today that it's pretty shocking that he's gone.
Detroit police say Perkins was working as a rideshare driver and was called to Southwest Detroit. He was found beaten and stabbed near St. Lawrence and Elmer and died at the hospital.
I just can't even fathom how the encounter would have gone, other than him being just the type of person he is. He was not a confrontational type of person or even an argumentative type of person.
Detroit police aren't saying what led to this, but they have made 2 arrests, a 16-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl.
We just hope that justice can be served, because a man like him does not deserve to go out this way.
Perkins is survived by his wife. I did speak to her briefly tonight. She just only wanted to convey one thought, and that was, this is a tragedy. Live in Southfield, Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
Just awful. Okay, Jason, thank you. A mother calls 911 and tells dispatchers she was being held hostage with her 2 children inside a car traveling on I-96.
That led to a chase before the driver stopped when state police surrounded his car on I-94. Now, state police are not showing us the moment they arrested the 28-year-old Canton man. That's to protect the privacy of the mother and the children, who fortunately were not hurt. Police say after they arrested him, they learned that he was wanted out of Oakland County for aggravated assault and domestic violence. He's now in custody, but charges are pending.
One of the men charged in the alleged plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer pleads guilty. Ty Garbin of Heartland pleaded guilty to conspiracy. He admitted to his role in the plot and admitted taking part in training exercises designed to simulate an attack on the governor's summer home. Garbin has agreed to help investigators build cases against the other men charged. He faces a maximum sentence of life in prison.
Former Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith is likely headed to federal prison soon after pleading guilty to a count of obstruction of justice. During a virtual hearing today, Smith admitted to stealing more than $74,000 from his campaign fund for personal use and then having his friends lie to investigators about it. As part of his plea agreement, he's going to serve between 15 and 21 months in prison. He's also expected to forfeit just short of $70,000. He will be sentenced formally on April 27th.
A pawn shop on the Detroit-Dearborn border was raided today by police. Dearborn police officers spent hours carrying out boxes from City Pawn on Greenfield near Joy Road. Police have not commented on what was taken or why they were there. Still ahead, new calls for action to get the Russian government to release Paul Whelan.
Convicted of espionage, who is now leading the charge to get the Biden administration to free the man from Novi. Here comes Ben.
Devin and Kim, it has been February of last year since we have seen temperatures this cold. We'll show you where we end up by tomorrow morning and whether we recover before the weekend.
All right, Ben, but first I'll talk one-on-one with the state's new health director following last week's abrupt resignation of Robert Gordon.
Our real challenge, the real barrier right now is the number of vaccines that we have actually coming into the state.
The plan to fight COVID and how she plans to get more vaccines into arms next.